know a lot, but I know a little bit about the case. Practically what happened was, I think he sued.
What's up, guys? I got some big news for you today. If you are a current athlete or going to be an athlete in the NCAA realm at some point in the near future, stay tuned for this video because I got some good news. You may have heard about it through social media, or maybe you have watched it on ESPN with Tim Tebow doing his interview or whatever like I did. And that is what I'm doing a video on today. The NCAA, guys, has been revisiting the topic of an athlete's image and likeness, and is more likely than not leaning towards allowing athletes to be able to profit off of their image and likeness. If you are a former athlete and watching this, and or an athlete now, you understand how tight you have to be with all of your social media accounts, and you can't make money and you can't accept meals and stuff like that. And this ultimately gives you a chance to change that. Some of you may be familiar with the famous Ed O'Bannon case. If you aren't familiar, it was about a UCLA basketball player who was on the EA Sports games. You probably played it. I think it was called March Madness or whatnot. Anyway, he was featured on that game with an athlete that looked exactly like him, with the same number, same facial expression, and the same team. His argument was that he didn't see any benefits from having his own image on the video game himself. So if you're wondering why those games have not been around, such as our college football games, our 2K basketball games, or the college baseball games, which are my favorite, it is because the game developers such as EA Sports and 2K and the NCAA have not been able to find that common ground of being able to make the game give the student athletes the credit they deserve. So yeah, guys, back to the Ed O'Bannon case. He sued the NCAA for using his image and likeness in the video game, or it was EA Sports or whatnot, and ultimately it got all these games taken off of the shelves. At the time, as a middle school kid, when these games were being taken off the market, I was very upset because I love playing those video games. But now, as an actual college student myself, I understand how unfair that might have been to the athletes of that time. And it's good that steps are being taken to put this back into place and be able to properly credit the athletes with being in these video games. So until we can get these parties of the athletes, NCAA and the gaming companies to all reach an agreement, we'll still be waiting for our games. But that is why this new update and what's going around on Twitter and ESPN is so important, because actually we're moving closer in that direction to getting those games that we so loved growing up. But yeah, guys, like I was saying, NCAA is moving closer in that direction. Dan Murphy of ESPN, an investigator, clarified that this wouldn't necessarily mean that athletes would now be getting a salary, because that would be totally opposite to what the college athlete experience is about. It is actually more targeted towards giving athletes the ability to profit off of their image and likeness. So for particular, like Zion Williamson, probably being able to have his own shoe while in school, or just being able to have endorsements or be in commercials or things like that, or actually be able to profit off of my YouTube channel. So back to the question that was earlier presented. No, guys, I do not get paid for YouTube. That's not why I do it anyway. I do it because of the fun of just putting videos together and showing you guys what it's like to be a college athlete. But it is cool though for any up and coming YouTubers who are college athletes. They may be able to profit off of their YouTube channel. Now, guys, don't get so excited right now. This legislation is actually set to take place in 2023. So until 2023, athletes like myself will not be in the sport long enough to be able to see that. But it's also good to see for athletes on their way up. But yeah, guys, it's actually moving pretty fastly. The California Senate has unanimously passed the Pay for Play Act, in which players in California can get paid for their image and likeness in 23. So we can already see how California is moving in that direction, and we're not sure whether that might be only California or maybe other states will soon hop on the bandwagon, but it will be interesting to see how that all unfolds. Dan Murphy back on ESPN said that he had talked to multiple athletic directors on the West Coast, and I think in those California schools, and he was talking about how they were torn. They may have to be torn from their NCAA rules and their state legislation. with their state legislation qualifying their athletes being able to do so, and the NCAA saying they couldn't. But here's the kicker. The NCAA has said that these California schools choose to go through with this legislation, it may jeopardize their postseason abilities. So they won't be able to play for national championships and and regionals and all kinds of stuff like that. So all this is getting really interesting right about now. Some of you guys may be familiar with Donald DeLahaye. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but he was a UCF kicker a few years ago, and he had a very successful YouTube channel. His case is one of the most famous ones talked about among most YouTubers who are student athletes. Monetizing off of his account, and obviously that was against the rules, and the NCAA representatives told him that he had to either stop monetizing his YouTube channel, delete it, or he was going to forfeit his scholarship. And for him, he ended up just getting rid of his scholarship, and he continues to have a very successful YouTube channel. So that's very interesting, and I think he's actually played a few pro games here and there. But yeah, so that's very interesting, and it will be interesting to see how these type of things play out. Apparently in October, it's supposed to be confirmed whether pay to play is going to be utilized throughout California or every other state for that matter. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope I informed you guys enough, and it's cool to see how pay for play is actually going to change the lives of student athletes, and if you're going to be one down the road, that'll be you too. So comment your favorite NCAA football, basketball, or baseball game. I want to see what you guys like the most. But thanks, guys. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.